Now we are going to learn chapter 5th, the fundamental unit of life. In the first page, the information that given is a Robert Hooke, the person who resembled the cell. He just took a thin slice of cork from a tree bark and he just kept the slice under the microscope. Then he just observed that a structure of honeycomb consisting of many little compartments. Actually, how a honeycomb will be? It's like a small boxes, like rooms, right? Same that way, a thin slice of cork is there. Then he just named it as a cellulae, a Latin word for a little room. And that name we just changed into cell. Let us find out about cells. What are living organisms made up of? Before that, we have an activity 5.1. We just see it in next video. Next. We can try preparing temporary mounds of peels, okay? Let me give an explanation about this activity. What they given is, take a small piece of onion and just take a bulb of it, then place it on a wet glass, add a drop of water, take a forceps, then remove the peel of skin, then keep under microscope, then observe that. What will you observe? There will be a structure which is there like a blue one, right? Beside that we can see like that how it is looking like a bricks, right? Before constructing a building, we will just arrange the bricks like this, same as the way it is. So we will compare this cell with the bricks, and that's why we called it is as a structural and functional unit of life. For all living organisms, with the help of cell only, every organism is made up of. For every building is made up of bricks, right? Same way. So this is the example for that or activity. We have some more information. We can try preparing temporary mounds of peels of onions or different sizes. What do we observe? Do we see similar structures or different structures? What the question is, if you take any size of onion, any side of the peel, will we observe a similar structures or different structures? Onion same, but the size is different. But the onion is same, right? Means every onion has the same structures, right? So the answer is similar structures. Okay, what are the structures? These structures look similar to each other. Together, they form a big structure like an onion bulb. We find from this activity that onion bulbs of different sizes have similar small structures are visible under a microscope. The cells of the onion peel will all look the same, regardless of the size of the onion they came from. The small structures that we see are the basic building units of the onion bulb. We saw the structures, right? And we compared those with bricks, right? Those structures are basic building unit systems for an onion. These structures are called cells. Not only onions, but all organisms that we observe around are made up of cells. However, there are also single cells that live on their own. Before going to that, we will know briefly. Okay, cells were first discovered by Robert Hooke, in which year 1665. He observed the cells in a cork slice with the help of a primitive microscope. Leeuwenhoek in 1674, with the improved microscope, discovered the free living cells in pond water for the first time. It was Robert Brown in 1831 who discovered the nucleus in the cell. Purkinje in 1839 coined the term protoplasm for the fluid substance of the cell. The cell theory that all plants and animals are composed of cells, that the cell is the basic unit of life, was presented by two biologists, Schleiden and Schwann. Schleiden in 1838 and Schwann in 1839. The cell theory was further expanded by Virchow in 1855 by suggesting that all cells arise from pre-existing cells with the discovery of the electron microscope in 1940. It was possible to observe and understand the complex structures of the cell and its various organelles. This is the matter to know more. And let's go to next point. The invention of magnifying lenses led to the discovery of the microscopic world. The invention of magnifying lenses led to the discovery of microscopic world. It is now known that a single cell may constitute a whole organism as an amoeba, right? Yes, not only in amoeba. We have three more: Chlamydomonas, Paramecium, and bacteria. These organisms are called unicellular organisms. Uni equals to single. On the other hand, many cells group together in a single body and assume a different functions in it to form various body parts in a multicellular organism. Multi equals to many, such as some fungi, plants, and animals. Can we find out names of some more unicellular organisms? Let's find. Every multicellular organism has come from a single cell. How cells divide to produce cells of their own kind. Every multicellular organism has came from a single cell. How? Cells divide, produce cells of their own kind. All cells just come from pre-existing cells. We have an activity 5.2. Let's see that in the end of this session. Before that, let's go for the matter. Some organisms can also have cells of different kinds. Look at the following picture. It depicts some cells from the human body. For example, smooth cell, blood cells, nerve cell, ovum cell, bone cell, sperm cell, and fat cells. Various cells from the human body. And next, the shape and size of cells are related to the specific function they perform. Some cells like amoeba have changing shapes. In some cases, the cell shape could be more or less fixed and peculiar for a particular type of a cell. For some cells, there are shapes and size. For an example, amoeba can change its shape, but sometimes it has a fixed and peculiar shape. For example, nerve cells have a typical shape. Each living cell has the capacity to perform certain basic functions that are characteristic of all living forms. How does a living cell perform these basic functions? We know that there is a division of labor in multicellular organisms, such as human beings. This means that different parts of the human body perform different functions. The human body has a heart to pump blood, a stomach to digest food, and so on. Similarly, division of labor is also seen within a single cell. In fact, each such cell has got certain specific components within it, known as organelles. Each kind of cell organelle performs a special function, such as making new material in the cell, clearing up the waste material from the cell, and so on. A cell is able to live and perform all its functions because of these organelles. These organelles together constitute the basic unit called the cell. It is interesting that all cells are found to have the same organelles, no matter what their function is or what organisms they are found in. We have two questions they given. One is who discovered cells and why or how? The answer is Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665 by using a primitive microscope with the help of slice of cork from the tree. And second question is why is the cell called the structural and functional unit of life? Every living organisms are made up of cells. For an example, we took onion peel. In that, we can observe structures. These are called cells. And we compared it with the buildings because buildings are made up of bricks. However, living organisms are made up of cells. For the buildings, bricks are the basic and functional unit of life or functional unit of building. For living organisms, cells are the basic and structural and functional unit of life. And next topic. What is a cell made up of? What is the structural organism of a cell? We saw above that the cell has special components called organelles. How is a cell organized? If we study a cell under a microscope, we would come across three features. The plasma membrane allows or permits the entry and exit of some materials in and out of the cell. It also prevents movement of some other materials. The cell membrane, therefore, is called a selectively permeable membrane. That means the permeable membrane allows only some materials in. That also what is selectively are there and exits out only some materials. How does the movement of substance takes place into the cell? How do substances move out of the cell? Some substances like carbon dioxide or oxygen can move across the cell membrane by a process called diffusion. We have studied a diffusion in earlier chapters, but also let's see it again. Diffusion is the process of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Something similar to this happens in cells when, for example, some substances like carbon dioxide is a cellular waste and it requires to be excreted out of the cell. It accumulates in high concentrations inside the cell. Inside the cell, the carbon dioxide is high concentration in the cell's external environment. The concentration of carbon dioxide is low in the cell's external environment. The concentration of carbon dioxide is low. And as soon as there is a difference of concentration of carbon dioxide inside and outside a cell, carbon dioxide moves out of the cell from a region of high concentration. Carbon dioxide will move out of this cell with a region of high concentration to a region of lower concentration outside the cell by the process of diffusion. Similarly, oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion when the level or concentration of oxygen inside the cell decreases. Let me read it again for a clarity. Oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion when the level or concentration of oxygen inside the cell decreases. Thus, diffusion plays an important role in gaseous exchange between the cells as well as the cell and its external movement. Water also obeys the laws of diffusion. The movement of water molecules through such a selectively permeable membrane is called an osmosis. What is an osmosis? Water also obeys the law of diffusion. The movement of water molecules through such a selectively permeable membrane is called osmosis. The movement of water across the plasma membrane is also affected by the amount of substance dissolved in water.